So this next session is titled Macedonia2025, Coming of Age. This panel brings together members of our board of directors to discuss the vision for the future and role of Macedonia2025. We'll continue to play in the country. So please welcome to the stage two of our co-founders, some guy named Mike and John Bitove, and two distinguished board members, Zhivko and Borijan, who will moderate the session. Come on stage.
Hi, everybody. Woo! Such an exciting morning, really powerful messages to kick us off for this panel. I know Mike is already excited.
Good being, Coach.
Yeah. You know, when I accepted the privilege of moderating the panel, immediately it came up to me. You know, there is one good news and there is one bad news. The good news is that the panelists do not require any special introductions, right? Mike, Zhivko, John, it's enough. Everybody knows and it's aware about what you are doing. The bad news is that we have only 40 minutes. Yeah, so Nikita is already signaling me, keep it short, keep it short. I was thinking how to make the introduction beyond what is the common denominator of the three of you, which is a great business leader. The only thing that I can say at this moment is you're true patriots with such a passion, with such a commitment, giving back always. So from bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for everything that you are doing and you will continue to do going forward. So thank you, Mike, thank you, Zhivko, thank you, John. It would be nice to get some applause. But there is also one thing that I'm always amazed about the three of them. They never like to talk about the history. And even when we were preparing the panel, all of the three were, no, let's talk about the future, not the history. But we need to do a bit of a history still. So, Mike, let's kick it off. I mean, how did it start? How, you know, vividly you remember some talks with then President Zafirovski and then Crvenkovski. But please.
Oh, first of all, dobro utro, dame i gospodo. It's always good to be back home. I was pushing back on Borijan to go back, but I just want to say a couple of things. If you're there last night, I thought Nikita gave a wonderful, heartfelt comments about her position, her relationship with the board, and a little bit of this anxiety that all of us have. And let me clarify, it was never about the organization per se, it was always about the country. Is the country moving up or down? So I can assure you that that priority is always there. And always have this sense of optimism. Is the glass half full or half empty? I think all the approaches which we have is always for the glass to be at least half, maybe even 3/4 full. But back how it started is in middle of 2002. I've been just promoted to be president of Moderator. I'm running between meetings. And you may have heard the story before, but my secretary is chasing me. He says, Mike, you have an important phone call. He says, well, I'm late for a meeting. Take a message. I'll call him or her back. She goes, no, it's very important. You have to take this phone call. And I'm typically not to try not to get angry, but I said, well, who is it? She goes, she's the president of Macedonia. And I started laughing. I thought she was joking. And no, it is. Well, what's his name? So you get caught. You're 45 years old. You keep saying you're proud Macedonian and proud American. And here you are. You're only 40s. You don't know the name of the president of the country of your birth. So I took the phone call really quickly. I said, Mike, this is Boris Zafirovski. I'm not asking for anything. We're very proud of you. Not many Macedonian born citizens become presidents of a Fortune 500 company. We'd love to have you come and visit with me and my staff to give us some ideas what big corporations are looking for. So I'm not planning to come for another couple of years. They did come within 2 weeks. There was that sometimes we tell ourselves white lies. You say one thing is important to you, but your behaviors do not necessarily follow through. The guilt feeling, if you will. So even though in a busy schedule, I came here within 2 weeks. Fast forward 2006, I just happened to be in Toronto. Confidential interviews. John's dad says, Mike, we have a big meeting. The Prime Minister of Macedonia will be here. There's Zafirovski giving this passionate talk to a couple hundred Canadian Macedonians to say, please, we need your help. We need your ideas. We need your suggestions. We need you to come and visit. We need your investments. So we need your help. Totally unknown to John and I, John Bitove Sr., one of my heroes, had gone to him and said, Mr. Prime Minister, if you're really serious about making changes, here's two guys that can help you. But that really was the genesis of Macedonia2025. The organization really was never meant to be an organization for goals on its own, but how can we use the resources, the brain power, the patriotism, if you will, to help the country? I'm so proud now that at least half the border now is local Macedonians, was diaspora only. And I'll finish with a couple of things. What John Bitove used to say, and again, this is one of the pictures, was a wonderful celebration of his life a few years ago, but we will receive as long as we give from the bottom of our hearts. So I can tell you the last 20 plus years, with my increase in value in Macedonia, the blessings that I received have been unbelievable. To see people like Borijan and Zhivko, however little I've been able to touch them, to see what they've been able to accomplish. Many people in this room, directly or indirectly, reached out to me, have always tried to give back. So there's lots of pride what has happened. The anxiety, if you will, still is that we as a country, with all the potentials, we're not moving up as much as we should. Many reasons for that, many problems. We can admire the problems. We can say, what do we need to do to transform and to be able to control our own destiny? And I think there's a real opportunity. Our friend Harry Kramer would say, those guys, can you be the source of optimism going forward? And Prime Minister, again, I really much appreciate your heartfelt comments, both with the tragedy, the priorities to the country, but also for your family. But I can tell you, we're here to really support smart initiatives. I think the next 2 days will be some of the best platforms we ever have had. Wonderful examples from the country of Georgia. We've had many of those things before. But I can tell you to all of the people, this is a critical time for the country, and you can count on all of us to be part of part of the solution, but also really ask each and every one of you to look and ask yourself, how can you help, whether you're in business, academia, government, or as a business people. But thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Great opening. Switching to John and your version of the history. 2025 has a lot of symbolism, a lot of expectations from the summit. But in your journey, what's the moment that you were the proudest? And also, let's be honest, what frustrates you more?
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us here again today. Obviously, our big success is a summit that we host annually here. Started in Ohrid and we've moved it to Skopje. But, when I look at our achievements and disappointments over the years, I'd say that, for the first 40 years of my life, there wasn't even a Macedonia. I had my friends, I had to point to a map in terms of where the country was. I look at my babas and dados when they came. One came to America, one came to Canada, and they started successful businesses, and they were very proud in terms of what they had achieved, and their friends and acquaintances from the churches, everything. They had built, bought properties, strong businesses. And I just always assumed that as a people we could become, very strong and dynamic. And when we finally became an independent country, I thought that that Macedonia as being, and Macedonians as being proud and hardworking people will thrive and succeed. And I look at the Balkan region, and we hosted a conference in Toronto about 7-8 years ago in terms of Crossroads of Europe, Southeast Europe, what can we do? And there was so much intellectual power and belief in the dynamism in terms of taking advantage of our economic location, taking advantage of our small size, that we're not hundreds of millions of people, that we're 2 million people that we can mobilize. And I think now we still haven't captured what we can do. There's so much opportunity that we have. I know our people are hardworking, dynamic, and honest people. I see corruption as an issue up there. Corruption is something that we have to nail down as a society and make sure that hard work and integrity are what get you ahead to be able to, further benefit society and your family, everything else. So there's so much more that we can do, that the summit brings together all these thoughts and these processes that we can keep moving. Thanks.
Thank you, John. So you already... So you already see that writing a memoir is not an option with these guys. I mean, they're so action-oriented. Switching to Zhivko, you're the longest-serving board member located in Macedonia. So what inspired you to join and serve? And more important, I guess, how we can use your example to recruit new board members. Yeah.
Thank you, Borijan. I would like to say that really it's a pleasure and a privilege to be present here on this panel with you, Mike and John, in front of this audience. Yes, I am a member in the board of Macedonia2025 from 2011, December. With a brief break, I am still part of the organization. From the very beginning, it was deep desire how we should see our country thrive, how we should not see the development from the point of leadership, from the point of innovation and global presence of the country. Having witnessed the challenges in which Macedonia was going through the time, I think that definitely we needed to come through this strategic, let's say, organizing of the country, partnership of the people and long-time term investment in the people, which I think is the most important thing, because without people, nothing can happen. I think that this was a base as a diaspora engagement, economic development of the country, and how to foster future leaders in the country. I still remember January 2012. I'm in Toronto and having the presentation in front of John Bitove Sr. And I still remember his enthusiasm, his passion, his eagerness, willingness, and dedication how to help Macedonia. I mean, for me, it was really an example of somebody, who is a true leader from many angles of the organization. And I see really Macedonia 2025, not only as an organization, but also as a movement, driver for a vision, for action, how the country should be better, and mission of the organization in which we are part. And I think that all Macedonians can somehow recognize in this organization. Despite the numerous challenges which are facing the country, we are all aware, we all invest our time and effort together to be part of this organization. We all are finding purpose that through this organization we can really help the country, we can really help our people, and I'm really, as I'm saying one more time, very proud to be part of Macedonia 2025.
Yeah, and thank you, Zhivko. Such an inspiration. Maybe let's switch gears a bit, but before we do that, can we put the first Slido and maybe ask the audience for a quick feedback on how we can best describe Macedonia 2025. So thanks in advance, and we will see the results after. Certainly we'll take it into consideration. Switching to the next topic, I'll repeat one of the crucial messages that was part of our One Vision for Accelerated Growth that we published last year. It's a simple recipe in terms of the non-negotiables, or non-negotiables. It's a starter. So zero tolerance for corruption, GDP growth above 5%, anything below that would be considered failure, and agile and efficient government. Based on those three non-negotiables, I will open up the next round of questions, which is more geared to what does success look like 5 years from now? How do we measure it? Is it the GDP per capita or R&D expenses as a percentage of the GDP? Or we put a simple benchmark, right? You know, how to get to 10 companies above 10 billion revenue per 1 billion revenue per year. I'll start with Mike, and with one very famous curse in politics, right? You know, the so-called Juncker curse. I mean, he used to be a popular politician, not so much nowadays, but he said, we all know what to do, but what we don't know is how to get re-elected after we do it. A direct question on your, real passion for actions. You've been in numerous transformations. You're one of the most successful American Macedonians in the corporate world. How to do a turnaround in a small country? Is it possible? I mean, what's the role of the leadership in this process? And in the same sentence, if you can touch a little bit on government initiatives or eliminating red tape going forward. I don't know, do we need Macedonian Doge? How do you pronounce it? I don't know.
Well, it's going to be a long sentence to answer all those questions, Borijan, but ALKALOID would be a perfect example. There's many other companies here as well, in terms of it being a state institution, if you will, to where Zhivko and his management team have done a fabulous job of actually making a very modern company right from Macedonia. One small example, very proud of the Zafirovski Kellogg program. I mean, out of the 50 or so people so far, I think we have at least 6 executives from ALKALOID. So investment in people, but also investing in IP to make the company very strong. You can use the same analogy in virtually everything. I mean, the whole comment of, what has to happen, and then, it's hard to get reelected. I'd say the same curse exists for every CEO as well. You make all these accomplishments, you're running for the big office, if you will, if it's a public company, you make commitments, and all of a sudden you get into the job, you get sidetracked by day-to-day problems. So there's many bold statements by politicians and other people. I think the biggest curse really is you get there, you get overwhelmed with the day-to-day activities, you forget what got you there in the first place. And people are dying for the level of a transparency, big, bold visions, but actually a real commitment to stay to those. There's many priorities that come with day-to-day. I mean, obviously, you have a huge job yourself, Borijan, we're manufacturing. For all of Johnson Matthey, you're responsible for Macedonia. But always remember the priorities. There's always B and C tasks, not things that come up in the short term. But really, that is the curse, the cancer, if you will, that kill transformations. Typically, transformation may have 3 or 4 things. You've listed some of those. But again, obviously not just to Prime Minister Zafirovski. And again, it's such a massive task you have as you're a CEO, the biggest CEO job in Macedonia. It's obviously for the country. You get up in the morning, early coffee, lunch, dinner. You think about 3 or 4 things. And there's a famous saying that I like to quote, think big, start small, move fast. There's always reason, there's also always day-to-day issues that prevent you from addressing the things that you know you have to be driving. But unless you repeat that to your staff, to any television interview, if it's 5% growth, if it's a fighting corruption, if it's a digitization, it's always, what are the 4 or 5 things? So always think big, never forget that, but start small, don't wait. Waiting is what kills most initiatives, whether you're president of a country, prime minister, whether you're running a hospital, or you're CEO of a company. Again, there's many other parts of it, but again, if you ask for the big ones, I mean, say 5 years from now, growth at least 5%. Average GDP per person to go from 8,000 to 12,000 per year. to have both the reality and the perception that Macedonia is the cleanest country in the region from a corruption standpoint, and for people to say, look, the education commitments are as significant as they ever have been, whether we're part of the old Yugoslavia or ever since then. So again, great question, can go on for a long time, but I do think being a small country, it's a huge advantage. If it's Singapore here, I know them very well. They went from the poorest country in the world in 1960 to the wealthiest country in 2010. Took 50 years, unwavering commitment. Iceland, Ireland. We have a wonderful example today from what happened in Georgia from 2009 to 2012. It takes that level of a commitment. It's always going to be derailments. There's always going to be problems. But if you stick to what you promised, ask for help, but also do not take any no's for an answer. I mean, that's the only way that I've seen transformations work. Most transformations do not. The ones that do, I mean, that's the one common feature. And again, this is not simply saying that we stand that you're, as we have in previous and future administrations, to be that source of thoughtful, hopefully, perspectives, to applaud progress, but also to be making comments, always put the country first, as to what maybe we should be doing more of and what we should be doing less. Again, thank you for that question.
Thank you, Mike. I know you can go for hours on this one, so there is no need for follow-up, but I have something later on that can help us expand. Switching to John, you're one of the greatest entrepreneurs of Macedonian origin and also family business owner that is a real example. So from your practical experience, what would ideal look like in terms of business regulations or the business climate? You very often say that there is no time loss in business, and I think we lost a bit of time in the last 30 years, and maybe we can took some lessons learned on this one. But how do we get to quick vision, execution?
You can always make up lost time with focus. I think our dashboard that we created was really the measuring stick we're supposed to be using in terms of how we, our direction. In my businesses, not unlike what Prime Minister would face, running a country, you create an overall strategic framework of what your long-term goals are. You create an annual plan or a budget in terms of what we can afford and what we're going to do, and then quarterly benchmarks in terms of are we achieving it. Everything on that dashboard, whether it's a place to do business, economic growth, unemployment, all those things are markers in terms of what to improve. And my expectation would be within 5 years, Macedonia is the leading country in the Balkans in terms of all those benchmarks. That I would not be satisfied if I was running the country and we weren't making progress every year on those. It's an easy measuring stick. It's what we've done, and I think it's something we have to embrace more in terms of focus, because when you have economic prosperity, everyone wins. You can afford more, you can spend more, you can give more. And I think that's got to be the goal of, it's been what Mike and I always envisioned in trying to help bring to the country in terms of the focus. But I think what's great about our board now being, half domestic as opposed to just diaspora, everyone's embracing those challenges and views and strategy and how we get there.
Thank you. Switching to Zhivko, ALKALOID is a true national champion. I mean, I know you're not very comfortable with that statement, but it's a fact.
Yep.
It's a fact. And the company grew really exponentially over the last 10 years, or even over the short period of time. I mean, from 30 million to more than 300 million. And what's the most exciting part, at least for me, is the percentage of export that you managed to achieve. I mean, you are 65, 70%. So not too many Macedonian companies do it. Can you give us the secret? How are you doing it?
Well,
but equally important on this one, I mean, what's the recipe required to get 10 ALKALOIDs in the country, domestic or foreign? How to scale up?
Let's say, realistically optimistic. I mean, it would be in the next 5 to 10 years to have at least 5 to 10 companies which will increase their sales, let's say, from 200 million and up. I'm talking about companies who are basically from here, which I think is important, and then to go step by step. I remember when in ALKALOID we were putting these posters that our target, when we were some 50 million euro sales, that our target will be 100. And I remember that what was the pride of the people when the first 100 million happened. Then we were really so happy celebrating about that. And then, you know, there are new and new, let's say, lines which you want to achieve after some time. How did we get there? Definitely with strategic discipline, definitely with the focus on developing the people, quality with no, let's say, any type of improvisation, but really to focus on what should be done, cutting-edge technologies. And as I said before, definitely the talent is the most important. If you don't have the right people in which you need to give them support so that they can develop, it will be definitely not the position for the company to grow. Of course, also we diversified our, let's say, portfolio, we diversified the markets. We become less dependent from the domestic market. So first of all, culturally, we changed the mindset of the people that we should be successful everywhere, not only in the domestic or the regional markets. Also, we made a few strategic decisions which I think were really very important. For example, we decided to make a production of semi-solid cephalosporins, that one type of antibiotics. And today we are the #1 producer in Europe for this type of products. And we're really, again, proud with our people about that. Thank you. And also, you know, working on this talent. I mean, we invested a lot in research and development. We cleared ourselves that we could be innovative, that we could compete, and we can be present everywhere in the world. Having in mind now the Macedonian companies, I think that we need a national strategy, definitely, for support upscaling of the companies, for innovation, and for supporting them in export diversification. I am seeing opportunities in pharmaceuticals, in IT sector, in clean energy, in food processing. I think that really we have chance in these fields, and that with mutual work from everybody, we can find a solution how we could develop. We have more than 1,000 suppliers in Macedonia, local suppliers, and I am seeing in a lot of them that they have potential to export. They have potential to have added value products, but I think definitely, you know, they need a little extra funding, I would say. They need, you know, support from the point of advisory services, from the mentorship, logistics also, and I think all of this is a mutual effort from the side, of course, government on one side, which already is showing that. Also, we as organization and the private sector, I think together we can manage to make this move, this brave move. And I think that definitely we can do it together. Thank you.
Yeah, John.
I just want to say something about Zhivko. He's a very modern CEO. You know, to some degree, there's a myth from the old days about, you know, if you're the boss and you could just stay at home in your dacha and sip coffee, whatever. He leads by example. He invests in his people. He gets very strategic in terms of where the company has to go, and that's how we're going to have great Macedonian champions going forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And maybe before we open the final round, and surprise, surprise, I am almost on time. Thank you, Nikita. Maybe we see the Slido poll results, because we also ask for a feedback from the audience. Okay. I think we didn't rehearse it, but it's almost in the thing that I'll continue with Zhivko on a very specific topic, opening up our ambition as a board of looking forward, and you know what is our vision. You mentioned talent, leadership, investments. some basic facts, and I'm not saying that we should be competing against, but the answer on some specific numbers. I mean, China has around 3.6 million of STEM students graduating per year, which is about 40% of their total student population. I mean, the numbers are enormous. India is similar with 2.5 million. Similar percentages. Even the U.S. produces around 800,000 of STEM students and imports around 200,000 more. How do we compete against that? How do we win? What we should do in Macedonia to follow your example, and what will Macedonia2025 do to help win in this area?
Thank you, Borijan. You mentioned the STEM students. I think that if you compare, probably 40% of our students are following TikTok trends, and I think that for them probably in this moment, unfortunately, it's more important that than to be more in STEM focus. I'm a mechanical engineer and I have special, I would say, emotion for the STEM type of education. I think definitely we need our young people lack stimulating and engaging contents, both from the school side and also from their extra curriculum which they need to go through. In Macedonia, we are desperate, I would say, for STEM and digital skills, and I think that from our perspective it should be a priority. But that should start from the primary education, and then during the whole education this should be some part of it. This includes definitely reforming of the curriculums, investing in teacher training, promoting critical thinking, problem solving, and I would say innovation on all levels. State statistics indicate huge gap between, let's say, the need of the real sector and what our education system is producing during the year. For example, in ALKALOID on annual level, we have around 2,700 job applications and around 1,000 job interviews. And if you ask our human resources team how they assess the candidates, they are saying that they are insufficiently trained, they lack practical knowledge, they are unmotivated, and they have overrated expectations. That means that we need to boost the creativity of these students, aid personal and professional profiling. They need to really feel the preparedness of where they want to be, and definitely because of that, everybody should try some way. For example, we introduce programs of dual education, of internship. Even we have one very, I would say, strange situation that for internships there is limited number of internships that the company should receive. I am very thankful to Prime Minister. We already spoke that this limited number should go up, because if we as employer want to bring young people on internship and to work with mentors to develop, to be prepared for the future job, why should let's say some laws limit our let's say possibility of using these young people? And these are, we are talking about paid activities, not something which is not paid. And we are very happy that in the last 6 years we had some 310 interns, and already 119 are working in the company. Also, we finished the first dual education class, and from 20 pupils, 13 have started to work in ALKALOID again. So this is really a good example that this can be part of activities of many companies together with the let's say universities, so that we could develop this together. Here I would like to say that through the programs which Macedonia2025 has, Zafirovski Executive Development Program, Leader Project with Ivy Business School, Diaspora Investment, we are helping to upskill these professionals. Also, we will, I would say, in the name of the organization, of course, we remain to open various initiatives together, I mean through scholarships, international exposure, access to cutting-edge know-how, mentorship, all the forms which can be extra added value, so that together we could help the young people and that we could together build a stronger nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Zhivko. Before we wrap up, John, a bit of a controversial question from my side, or maybe it's not, but I know you get it a lot. You know the proverb, give a man a fish and you will feed them for the day. Teach him how to fish, actually, you will feed him for all his life. Very often there is a perception about Macedonia 2025, and especially the diaspora, that, come on, just give us the money and, that's it, right? So what can we, put opposed on that perception? What's our real vision for 2030, 2050? I know you're passionate about the topic, that's why I'm asking.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. So leadership and education initiatives are obviously where people think we need to do most. Mike funds a program for management. I do one for entrepreneurship, small enterprise, as well as we get shadowing jobs at Queen's University. So, we're doing what we can, but we can only take the advice of management and the people here on the ground in terms of which programs we need to enhance or change or make better. So, I get disappointed when I hear that we need to do more, because we're trying to do as much as we can. So keep the information coming. Let Nikita and the staff know where our areas of opportunity are, because, from my perspective, and not living here but coming here often, happy to help and make the investment, because like Zhivko, I believe when you make the investment in people, you get the results.
Excellent. Thank you. Mike, we are not late. Surprisingly.
4:20, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 20 years, I'm amazed that you still keep it going, and with all the energy that you bring to us. What's a very simple message from your side to everybody? What we should stop doing? What should we be focusing on in the future? You mentioned how to mobilize the bright and brightest, the smartest to work for the cause. What's your call for action?
Thank you for that, Borijan. Great panel. I'll make a couple other comments, and I'll stay within the time. One of those is to be a board member, you actually pay to be a part of a board member, but the ROI is priceless. Just to be able to have this sort of a meetings, that sort of a impacts. Again, I'm just very much beneficiary from these last 20 years, not satisfied, if you will, but the benefits have been simply priceless. Second, I'm just reflecting, I was a keynote speaker at the first, I think it was G100, when the former prime ministers from the old Yugoslavia was in Belgrade, the prime ministers of Serbia, Croatia, Macedonia, Montenegro, everyone was there. I give a talk, and I get this young fellow come to say, my name is Zhivko Mukaetov. Thank you for your talk. I run a small company out of Skopje called ALKALOID. Can I talk to you from time to time? And just reflecting back from 2008 in Belgrade or 2007 to see what has actually developed, that shows you what's possible in virtually everything, whatever your position is in faculty, not-for-profits, obviously government or big business. There really is the potential. I also want to make a comment to our third founder, Mitro Kotanovsky. I was at his father's funeral a couple of days ago. Lived a great life at age 98. He passed away. The funeral was last Thursday, a wonderful celebration of his life. His mom died 3 months before that. They were married for 75 years. And if you're there in that church, the passion, the celebration, and the pride in both in terms of their Macedonian heritage, what they've been able to accomplish was absolutely unbelievable. So I just want to reflect on those things again as you ask me this question on the future. I would say that the same thing is for each one of us personally, professionally, and also very specifically for the country of Macedonia. I'll go back into what are the big goals, how to prioritize those, and for there to be a 7x24 job. And I think the opportunities are real. The challenges are very formidable. I mean, they're not lost on any one of us. But again, the way to get those things done is to really be persistent, to put the right people in place, to be always assessing, are we making the progress or not, celebrate the successes, move decisively if things are not working well. And again, one of the best examples I heard about 20 years ago, think big. Never give up on the big ideals. Start small, move fast. If you're to climb Mount Everest, you have to get in shape. If you get to the half the mountain, you have to get acclimated. Same thing is true that's in sports, where it's what your objectives may be to get your PhD in whatever subject it is. Same thing is very true in any professional or country objectives. And we know it's not easy. All of us here are very much supportive of a stronger Macedonia. We have a good example for the former Prime Minister of Georgia. Many other examples all around the world. We've also known internally what works, what doesn't work. And again, the only advice I would have is not to be admiring the problem as much, but also to think of the opportunities. Nikita gave a great slide of all the opportunities we have in Macedonia. It's a strong platform. And I think if we focus, put that singly in front of us, I think big success will be ahead of us. So anyway, great to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the three of you. I think we are out of time, but if you allow me 30 seconds to wrap this panel, but also some of the messages of the interview with the Prime Minister and with the opening remarks of Victor and Nikita, but I'll do it in Macedonian. Ono što je najголем недостаток на Македонија треба да биде најголема предност. Тоа што сме мали по територија, по население, треба да ни даде амбиција да бидеме најбрзи, најдинамични, најотворени, најгладни за знаење, најгладни за успех. А тоа не сме во моментов. Значи треба да се фокусираме многу на тие на работи. Не мора да ја победиме секоја битка, ама таму кај што ќе одлучиме да се надпреваруваме, да победиме. Светот е мал ако се фокусираме на она што стварно сакаме да го направиме. Ќе повторам, светот е мал ако се фокусираме на тоа што сакаме да го направиме. Благодарам. Thank you, the three of you. You're such an inspiration.